Bryce will take that piece of steel and sell it and make some money on it.
I often fly
All right, you ready to get started?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. It's 12 noon, everyone's here. We've got a full complement of board members. Welcome everyone to the December 18th meeting of the Capital District Transportation Authority. First item of business is to approve the agenda. I hope everyone's had a chance to look at their materials. Can I get a motion to approve this agenda?
So moved.
Second. Anyone opposed? Let's move on. We have the minutes of the prior meeting, which was October 30th, 2019. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any notes? It's approved. Next item is our recognition.
Yeah, we have two today. Two street supervisors. For those of you that aren't quite sure what they do, they make sure that the service that operates on the street, all hundreds and thousands of hours of service, operate the way it's supposed to operate, or the way we schedule it to operate. They respond to emergencies. They can tell you stories about what they do. Basically, they keep the system running. So these two fellas, both of whom I've known for 25 years, Tony Hazard and Gary McCarthy, actually started work here on the same day. So I just went over to them and said, who goes first? And in their world, it's all about seniority. They started on the same day. So who's got seniority? Believe it or not, there is an intricate, elaborate system of establishing seniority. So I found out that Tony has seniority over Gary. So Gary McCarthy will go first. Come on up, Gary. And by the way, they're going to report back to the union that I did not violate seniority, which the union controls, right? Yeah. This is too easy. Okay, Gary. Gary used to work at Bingo, the Coes Community Center on Sunday evenings. And our longtime bus operator, who some of you know, retired Marvin Goldfarb, also worked with him.
He played.
Well, he played. And I knowing Marv, he probably won a lot.
In the beginning.
Until you were out, right? But anyway, Marv said, hey, Gary, you'd be a great addition to the CDTA team. Think about it. Gary did. At the time, he was a teller at a bank. But the suit and tie life didn't appeal to him. So, like many people who started 25 years ago, I know this is a familiar story. He started in Star as a part-time bus operator. Worked full-time for a while in System 2, which is where Star lives. It's part of the company called System 2. And then went to Troy as a bus operator. He preferred the life of a bus operator, believe it or not, while his kids were young, so that he could attend their events, never missed one, and be as involved as he wanted to be with his kids as they were growing up. During this time, he also was able to finish his college degree. He got his degree in computer technology. Once his youngest son reached middle school, he transitioned to full-time supervisor, street supervisor, and that's where he's been ever since. Alton Ming is a superintendent in Troy, and I think he can tell you that he's blessed with guys like Gary who make sure that the operation is always on time and in tip-top shape. Gary's excited about the technology changes that are coming over our organization fast and furious. He jokes, though, that one of the biggest changes in technology is that we now have working air conditioning units. Some of our board members will remember there was a time when we monitored every month working AC units. You can always tell when there's a problem, and the board members have to every month check in on how many the AC units work and how many don't. Not a good thing, but I think we've gotten over that. Gary's favorite memory is, well, it's not even a memory because it happens every year now. Dina Wager, a Troy bus operator, has really embraced making the Troy division sort of a bigger and better family. And she gets the employees involved in all kinds of celebrations, especially now around the holidays. Gary says he appreciates that CDTA offers job security, flexibility, and benefits. The company's made it possible for him to pursue higher education and to spend time with his family, with his kids when they were younger. Get older, they sometimes say they don't need you as much. Y'all, yeah, but don't worry, they're always around. Sometimes their hand is in your pocket. Yeah. In his spare time, Gary's busy with home projects, installing a new car radio, and watching YouTube videos to learn how to fix stuff. He's a young guy. Retirement is not in the next couple of years, but maybe 15, he tells me. So you're going to go for the big 40?
Yeah.
Yeah, big story. But 25 years of great service, just a reliable guy who always has the best interest of the company at heart, Gary McCarthy. Sorry about that, Gary. It's hard for me to juggle more than one thing.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, second guy in the seniority list, or first guy, excuse me, I got that wrong, Tony. Tony Hasbro. Tony and I have been talking about this one for a while. No problem. No. So life before CDTA for Tony was at a big Bruegger's distribution facility in downtown Albany. I didn't know there was a distribution.
Yeah,
There's so few
commissary.
Yeah, there's so few Bruegger's now.
Now there is.
distribution.
That's why I got out.
So, like a lot of people here, Tony had family working here, and in my mind, family working at a company is a big endorsement. And when they encourage other family members to want to come to work at CDTA, I view that as a very good thing. As is now familiar to all of us, employees who began their career in the late 1990s, Tony started out in Star, just like Gary, part-time bus operator. He was also the first person to drive a trolley in Saratoga. So that was a first for the company and for Tony. After moving to full-time status in Star, Tony moved to Albany to drive regular route buses. But that only lasted a short period of time. There was an opportunity to be a supervisor. Tony applied, and to no one's surprise, he was selected. He's been a street supervisor for the past 20 years. I got to tell you, honestly, because he's a little closer than Gary, I can literally walk downstairs and talk to Tony. I know when his shift starts, I know when his shift ends. If I need to know anything about what's going on the street, it's easy to get information, and it's always right down the middle. It's not sugar-coated, it's pretty straight up. One of Tony's favorite moments was working towards perfect attendance for 7 consecutive years. It was a challenge to him, a fun challenge, and he wanted to prove to himself that he could do it. Are you still on the streak?
No, I talked to Ron Wilson.
Why are you doing that? So, I guess it's a school of thought. If you have some time off, why not take it, right? But Tony did it for seven consecutive years. In his spare time, perfect attendance. Think about that for a minute. 7, not 1 year, 7 consecutive. It basically means you show up every day. It's snowing, you show up. You don't feel well, you show up. You're sick of whatever you're doing, you show up. That's a quality I think that needs a little bit more attention in this day. In his spare time, Tony is a volunteer fireman. He's been a volunteer fireman for 19 years in East Greenbush, the East Greenbush Fire Company. And there are a lot of similarities between those two jobs, and I think it's helped to make Tony better at both. He enjoys family trips to Cape Cod and New Hampshire. Luckily, he's saying retirement is at least 10 years down the road, so we get Tony for 10 more years, and you got Gary for 15. I think the company operationally is in pretty darn good shape with these two guys making sure we do what we're supposed to do every single day. Tony,
Great.
Nice. Nice shave. So those are, as I said, two rocks. They ensure that, the contract with the customer, which is our schedules, they ensure that it happens every day. They ensure when there's a reroute, they ensure when there's a storm, that we respond. And, never hear a boo from these guys. They just come to work, do their job. Sometimes we focus on either the negative or the one-off type things. The majority of people who work here are people like Tony Hazard and Gary McCarthy, and those are the guys that keep me coming back every day. There's a lot more people like them, because they make life at CDTA, business-like without being too serious. They're jokesters. They'll tell you a joke. They'll ask about your kids. They'll ask about your family. That's what our company is. So I'm glad that they have an opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Connor.
Thank you.
Next part of the agenda are the committee reports. So I'm going to lead off with the Board Operations Committee, which met on December 4th here at 110 of Waterville Avenue. Committee did several items at that meeting. One was reviewing the agendas for this month's meeting, which is in front of you. We discussed got an update on the strategic plan. Everyone had convened a few weeks ago under Barbara Gannon's leadership. There's more data collecting going on from stakeholders, customers, and employees, helping out to sort of pull together the whole plan. We expect to meet with Barbara again in early 2020. We also talked about the budget for the next fiscal year, which is an item on today's agenda. Financially, through 8 months, we're in excellent condition, and we expect to close out the fiscal year in good condition. You'll hear more about that later. We continued our discussion about STAR performance data and incorporating some new key performance indicators into the monthly dashboard report. And we will continue to monitor STAR's results over the coming months. And the next meeting of the committee is scheduled for Wednesday, January 15th, 9:15 a.m. right here in this room. Any questions about the Board Operations Committee? If not, we'll move on to the Performance Monitoring Audit Committee. Denise?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met on December 11th, right here at CDTA. And we have 3 items for consent agenda. The first one is approval of a Microsoft Enterprise software contract. Our contract with Microsoft Enterprise Services is expiring. The software allows us to store data and access programs over the internet versus hosting them at CDTA. Dell Marketing holds the contract with New York State OGS for Microsoft software. We have verified that the state contract price is less expensive than attempting our competitive bid process. Staff recommends awarding a Microsoft Enterprise software contract through New York State OGS contract with Dell Marketing. And we need a motion to award a 3-year contract to Dell Marketing through New York State OGS for $327,421.
Can I get a motion for the resolution for the Microsoft purchase?
So moved.
Second? Second. Any discussion about this matter? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? It's approved.
Okay. Our next item was approval of a contract amendment for Woodlawn Park and Ride lease. Our agreement with Golden Gate Parking Associates for parking spaces at the Woodlawn Park and Ride expires this month. Golden Gate Associates has agreed to provide an additional 30 parking spaces to allow for expanded CDTA services for another 10 years at the same rate that we're currently paying for 70 spaces. So staff recommends amending the Woodlawn Park and Ride agreement for 100 parking spaces for 10 years for a total cost of $250,000. We need a motion to award a 10-year lease agreement for Woodlawn Park and Ride with Golden Gate Associates, LLC of Albany, New York, at a total cost of $250,000.
Can I get a motion on resolution 41?
I'll make that motion.
Second? Second. Any discussion about the park and ride?
It's a great deal. I mean,
Yeah, I would just
additional
point out,
spaces.
just for those not familiar with the geography here, Woodlawn is on the 905 line. That's in Schenectady. The only reason I point that out is because the company that we have the agreement with is in Albany, but this is in Schenectady. It does pretty well. It's on 905, it does pretty well, so we're happy with it.
And it's more spaces, same amount.
It's like $25,000 a year. It's not long.
Great, all those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. The resolution is approved.
Okay, and approval of, we also seeking approval of parking increase at the Rensselaer Rail Station. It has been several years since we raised parking rates at the rail station. After researching rates at similar facilities, analyzing customer and revenue impacts, staff is recommending a change to parking rates. We propose to consolidate outdoor parking rates into one maximum daily rate and to keep one maximum daily rate for the garage. The maximum outdoor rates will increase to $10 a day, and the garage rate will increase to a maximum of $14 per day. This action requires a public hearing and board approval. We anticipate a rate increase on or about April 1st of 2020. We need a motion for preliminary approval to increase parking rates at the Rensselaer Rail Station to $10 per day for the outdoor lots and $14 per day in the garage. Final approval will take place after the public hearing process.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
I'll second.
any discussion about this matter? Move the whole public hearing first, and then it's gonna come back to.
Right, yeah, a little footnote, rates haven't been changed 3 years, 2013, actually.
6 years.
6 years. We had said that we would do periodic reviews of the market conditions, and make appropriate changes. I think 6 years is an appropriate amount of time, if not maybe too long. We're not, dramatically behind market, but we're behind market. And, what we want to do is just stay competitive with the parking market for parking. And, adjust our rates accordingly. We're also cleaning there's several different rates, so we're cleaning it up, and there'll only be 2 rates, inside rate and outside rate.
Any conversations, anything further with conversations with the EZ Pass and being able to pay through that?
Yeah,
What's the timeline on
we're
that?
talking about Easy Pass, changing, the whole way that cars are monitored and paid, but I don't have a progress report on that. We'll bring a progress report to the board in the first quarter of the year.
Okay, and then these rates,
Same with the top deck, we talked about that.
are they based on a 24-hour period, or like if I show up on a Tuesday at 4 o'clock, will I be charged 2 days if I get it by 3 o'clock the next day?
Yeah, it's the maximum daily rate, yeah, so even though
Maybe
you're only
charge
there a portion of
So
the day,
midnight is the,
yeah, midnight it cuts over to the next day.
And are there any weekly rates?
There are, I don't have that stuff in front of me, I don't know who I feel
I
like
don't have it off the top of my head. There are some other combined rates. All the work for the board and everything that we need to do is based on the max daily rate, so I don't even remember off the top of my head what those
We'll
are.
shoot that out to you. And we don't, and Georgia, going sort of along that line, we need to, at some point, have a discussion about upgrading the equipment and the whole structure. You look at what the airport's doing, and I know they've had some bumps in the road, but, they're upgrading all their technology. That's really something that we really want to consider.
That's what I'm
And
getting at,
ought to consider.
making it more user for,
User-friendly.
especially business and people conducting
Yep.
business in the Albany area, and
Agreed.
just making it more friendly.
Agreed. We've been at capacity about the past month. That's a good thing. It happens every year around the holidays. It then was worsened a little bit with the snowstorm. We lose some parking spaces as we move snow around. So good thing we're at capacity. We've gotten our snow situation cleared up at a new contractor. Off to a little bit of a rough start, but I think that Jeremy has
Looks good today.
gotten his act together. The contractor, not Jeremy.
Still working on my end.
What is the garage rate right now for the airport?
I don't know if you can have that for you.
$24 is their max day rate for short term, and then their external, long term outside stuff is $14 a day.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
So it will, with board approval of this step, there will be a public hearing scheduled. There's a whole bunch of, you have to advertise it in advance. We'll have a public hearing, and we'll come back to the board, review public comments, and then decide what our actions are.
Good. All those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Resolution's approved. Denise, continuing with your report.
Yes, the audit committee did not have any items that were scheduled for this meeting. And the investment committee actually is meeting this afternoon. That meeting got moved to today. Administrative discussion items, new FDA safety rules. Rich Cordero provided an overview of the FDA safety regulations that go into effect on July 20th of 2020. Public transit agencies will be required to have a documented safety management system plan, referred to as SMS. These new regulations will enhance our safety program. SMS consists of 4 components: a safety management policy, safety risk management, safety assurance, and safety promotion and communication. The final SMS safety plan will be provided for board review and approval in late spring of this year. The board needs to approve our safety program on an annual basis. We had monthly management reports from Mike Collins. He gave the monthly fiscal management report for October and November. We continue to be on solid financial footing through November. MRT is $930,000 over budget for the year. Customer affairs are exceeding budget by 3% for the year, and facility advertising is up 38% for the year. Wages are over budget by 2% for the year, healthcare is under budget by 11%, and workers' compensation is under budget by 23%. So total revenue is up 3.2% for the year, and expenses are down 3%. So it was a very positive fiscal report.
Good picture.
Yes. We also had a monthly non-financial report. Chris Desney provided that report for October. Total ridership for the month was down 5% and down 1% for the year. Star ridership was up 5% for the month and 11% for the year. Preventable accidents were at 15 and non-preventable accidents were at 23. And on-time performance was at 74%. And unless there are any questions, that concludes my report. Our next meeting will be on January 22nd here at the headquarters.
Any questions for Denise? Do we have a committee schedule set for next year at this point? Has that been set out?
It'll be very similar to this year.
Well, we
haven't
should,
sent anything
we
out.
should talk about it at Board Ops.
Okay.
I think we should talk about how often we meet, when we meet. We experimented with the summer thing. We should have discussion, what people think. So Vanessa will have something ready next Board
Right,
Ops.
good idea. Great, thank you, Denise. We'll move on to the Community Stakeholder Relations Committee. Jackie?
Thanks, Jamie. The Community and Stakeholder Relations Committee met on December 12th. The staff provided 3 presentations which engaged discussion. The first, Ali Schreffler provided an update on our social media outreach. CDTA uses social media to reach a broad audience to inform about new products, company news, service changes, and community events. CDTA hosts a total of 7 accounts, which go across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and there are 3 separate accounts for CDPHP Cycle. Social media is a go-to for customers and media, especially when we need to communicate service changes or any form of weather updates. CDTA's social media platforms have grown in the past few years, and we have a strong presence across all channels. The second presentation, John Scherzer provided a year-end report on CDPHP Cycle. He highlighted the record-breaking ridership in Season 3 with 41,000 rides, with more than 12,000 members. CDPHP Cycle has become a signature program for CDTA. The increase in ridership was fueled by new cycle access partners, including RPI and New Albany. Looking forward to Season 4, we will look to expand the cycle footprint. Communities are interested in incorporating CDPHP Cycle into their offerings. The last presentation, Jamie Watson summarized the monthly community engagement report. She highlighted media outreach and community engagement outcomes over the last month. This featured several stories, including the company's involvement with Capcom's Thanksgiving program and the upcoming launch of electric buses and microtransit, which is what we're calling Flex. So the next meeting will be held on Thursday, January 23rd at 10:45 a.m. here at 110 Waterville Ave.
Thank you. Any questions, anyone? Then we'll move on to Mike for the Strategic and Operational Planning Committee report.
Thanks, Jamie. The Strategic and Operational Planning Committee met last Thursday, 12 o'clock here at 110 Waterville Ave. We have 1 consent agenda item and 2 administrative discussion items. The consent agenda item is our preliminary budget approval for fiscal year 2021. We are required to submit a board-approved preliminary budget to New York State by December 31st, 2019. We have been working on this, but also have made several assumptions for next fiscal year, which starts on April 1, 2020. Over the next few months, we will continue to provide the committee with options to review and consider as we go through the budget development process. The preliminary operating budget is projected to be $104.6 million, a 16% increase from this year. The major revenue questions for fiscal year 2021 include how much operating assistance will the state provide, how much federal maintenance should we allocate to operations, and how much mortgage recording tax should we project. Expenses are projected to increase by $14.4 million due to 3 new services with associated revenue sources tied to them. Wages and benefits account for about 70% of our expenses, and we are projecting the wage line to increase by $5.9 million. The 5-year capital plan was also provided and reviewed. Staff is recommending that the fiscal year 2021 preliminary operating budget of $104,555,352 and a 5-year capital plan of $399,206,608 be approved to meet our New York State statutory requirement.
Let's get a motion on the resolution for the preliminary budget. Denise, can I get a second on that?
Second.
I guess this is a kind of a procedural item for submission to the authority's budget office by 12/31 of a budget and the 5-year plan.
Yep, something called PARIS. Stands for.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Public Authorities Information Reporting Society.
So this is really, when we submit it, I don't want people to think, this is, going to the governor's office. This is an online submitting it to form, we'll fill it in, and basically it is your best estimates at what your expenses and revenue is going to be. At the same time, on a parallel track, we're talking about budget and committee work. So, basically everything that we anticipate having to do in the next fiscal year is in there. Will all those things end up in our budget? Time will tell, right? Our discussion, we'll establish more of a priority direction. It's a requirement that all public authorities go through. But we do need a board resolution to do that. Obviously, I would anticipate that $104.9 million number will come down over time as we work through committee on what the priorities are for the year.
And so the other board members know, we've had a small working group of Dave, Mike, and myself meeting with Carm, Mike, and Phil to kind of dig through the numbers a little bit more, so we're kind of getting abreast of all the issues, and there's a lot of them for this sort of poised for this resolution, but also moving ahead, we'll be meeting more often until the final budget comes through in April, right?
Yeah, April 1. And the fact that this year's budget is in relatively good shape, I kind of look at that as a springboard. If it wasn't in good shape, you'd have less of a spring. So it will spring, I think, and make some intelligent decisions. But it's an exciting time for the company. There are a lot of new initiatives.
Any questions? Mark?
Not a question, but a comment.
Okay.
Just on projecting state assistance, state is, you're looking at about $6 billion shortfall. I think a lot of that has to do with Medicaid, and some of it may have to do with the federal tax change. The governor is reluctant to raise revenue. Some of the legislators are more willing to raise revenue. I think Hasty, the assembly leader, in indicated he would rather raise revenue than cut programs. I was part of a delegation that met with a couple of local assembly members Monday on behalf of the New York News Coalition for Clean Energy and Environmental Justice. And Phil Steck did most of the talking. He's talking about his pet proposal for a stock transfer tax, which he said would raise $13 billion a year. And I raised a concern with his staff that the stock exchange might move to Connecticut. And the aide informed me that due to a change in the federal law having to do with taxing internet business, the state could collect the stock transfer tax on New Yorkers even if the stock exchange moved out of the state. So that may make it more palatable. I think it's passed the assembly in the past, but that might have some prospects in the Senate. Not necessarily at the level he wants, but that's something to be aware of. There is a revenue coalition that's pushing for additional revenue.
We're aware of that, we're following it, we've met with the assemblyman and staff a couple times on it. We also know that the upstate caucus in the assembly still views our industry most favorably. We continue to be on their top 3 issues that they want to see, to pursue and to advance. But at the end of the day, I think everything Mark said is right. Where this all ends up, we don't know. The $6 billion number is frightening, but it is isolated. You know where it is and you know what it is. There's no indication that public transportation will be cut, but remember last year it was a 10% increase in operating assistance. I don't know if we can duplicate that, but that is what we have provided. I will send you, I realize I haven't sent out all the numbers, the NIPTA 5-year needs report. Basically says here's what the industry needs. This is systems across the state. And the numbers are big, but they're not unmanageable. And this governor, his years as governor has been favorable to public transportation. There's no doubt about it. You look at the amount of money, you look at the 5-year capital plan that we're just concluding. He and his administration have been most favorable towards public transportation. So we'll continue to advocate. Lisa will be in next month to give you an update, but there are a lot of positive signs in spite of the $6 billion cloud, which is a dark cloud.
Anything else from anyone?
Just one other thing to add. The Controller General was, I think, raised the issue of a rainy day fund in anticipation of a recession. It's been a long time since the recession. The last one was very big. But that, if he's convinced with that argument, that might take some money out of the budget also.
Thank you, Mark, for your comments. Harm? Do we have a vote on the budget?
You didn't? I don't think you did.
Well, then let's have a vote on resolution 43. All those in favor of the preliminary budget say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Motion carries. What else do you have, Mike?
I got, next up are administrative discussion items. We had 2. First being our transit development plan update. The transit development plan, TDP, is our tactical plan for system design and performance, which focuses on service, infrastructure, facilities, and fleet considerations. The TDP ties into CDTA's current strategic planning initiatives and a regional plan currently being developed by CDTC. We typically update the TDP every 5 years. We discuss background concepts related to the Transit Propensity Index, transit priority corridors, and evolution of our route network. We also talked about considerations for adjustments to frequency, span, and geographic coverage, and how new mobility options such as microtransit, van pool, car share, bike share, and mobility hubs tie into these themes. Demands for upgraded facilities are still a need, and scenarios for the future view of our route network were discussed. We should also think about how express services might look going forward, the implementation of bus-only lanes and expansion beyond 40 miles of BRT. The second administrative item was our January 2020 service updates. On January 26th, CDTA will make a series of adjustments to the service network, providing additional weekday peak and weekend services to neighborhood routes and improving weekday reliability of other selected routes. Almost all of this will be good news for the customer. As we have been discussing for some time, this plan will include the implementation of the number 13 and number 113 New Scotland service redesign, which begins on April 5. There will also be enhanced service provided, which will benefit our partners at Albany City School District. These changes will lead to an increase of approximately 5,500 annual service hours. There were no executive session items. The next meeting of the committee will be Thursday, January 23rd, 12 p.m. here at 110 Waterville Ave. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions about the committee meeting? Comments?
You know, the transit development plan's a lot of stuff. You know, Ross did his best to compress it into, I don't know, 40 slides. And we will be back several times. Don't want you to think that we're asking for that whole thing to be absorbed, memorized, you know, all that kind of stuff. And we want the board to be active in that. You know, what's on your list, what you're hearing in your communities, you know, what direction should we take? We've said from time to time about how perfectly aligned several of these large plans, strategy type plans are. So we're lined up at a strategic level with our tactical plan at the service design level. And then the CDTC is doing the new visions update, which is a 10-year look. Make sure these things are all tightly orchestrated and correlated. So more to follow on the TDP. A lot of information we realize now.
The next item on the agenda is the CEO report. Carl?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, my report is pretty long. It covers about a month and a half, and I think we've talked about a lot of these things, so I'm going to sort of skip around and pick and choose. Maybe we can start with the strategic plan. You know, don't want you to think that nothing's happening. We're really in the data collection stage. Barbara Gannon and the staff leads is broken up into 3 groups: stakeholders, customers, and employees. And that work continues. It was great to get together in a relaxed format. I thought the board staff retreat was spot on. It was well done on everyone's part. And Barbara was impressed with the work of the board and the staff, the relationships. So more to follow on that. We talked about Flex. I'm sorry that we changed and moved dates on you several times. We're trying to find the right time and right place. Flex needed a little more testing. We're just about done with that now, and we'll get a start date to you shortly on that. Same with electric buses. We're trying to line up everyone's schedule. Jamie's kind of running around in circles trying to make sure everyone who wants to be involved in that is involved. So we'll have that nailed, if not the next day or two, certainly by next week. Troy Garage, if you haven't been by, if you buy the Troy Garage, take a look. Footings in the ground. It's a building that was brand new when I started here. I remember it was 6 months old, but frankly, not a lot has been done to that facility. So this is really a signature project of our River Corridor BRT, but in addition to the expansion, we'll be doing a lot of renovation work inside the building. But you'll see if you get a chance to take a look at it, you'll see how landlocked the facility is. There's just no room other than what we're doing to do anything else. So take a peek at that. As I said, I'll get you the NIPTA 5-year operating and capital needs plan. On the capital side, it's about $1 billion over 5 years for all the non-MTA systems. When you think about that, that's really not a lot of money. I have to pause when I say $1 billion, it's not a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not. That's the capital needs, and that is what each of the systems report to NIPTA. Bob Zarillo, I think you all know Bob is our NIPTA contact person, and he's experienced in this. He did this professionally for many years. So take a look at the needs report if you get a minute. A note on the snowstorm, not yesterday's, but the one a few weeks ago, 24 inches of snow early in the season, kind of, brought the region to a standstill for about 2 days. I'm proud to tell you that we ran just about everything. The roads, believe it or not, except in some places, were not all that bad, but it's not uncommon for certain parts of certain communities to be difficult to travel for a few days. But that's the work of the Tony Hazards and the Gary McCarthys, all the superintendents, Lance's team of maintenance employees. They really did a tremendous job during a couple days of the storm, and then the cleanup. And that's really where the work is. The cleanup. You get calls that shelters are blocked in. Some of our friends let us know. We appreciate that. When a shelter is blocked in, but it takes a few days to sort of cycle through that. Jeremy got his first taste. Jeremy's first taste of what it's like. He's used to that, having run the City of Watervliet's operation for a number of years. But it took us about a week. Some things we were really good at. Some things we got to get a little bit better at. But all in all, we came through that pretty well. And if that's what the winter's going to look like, I guess our message is bring it on. My activity report's long. We go to a lot of things. Some of them you may be interested in, some of them you may say, boy, they're nuts. But we try to get to as many different things and a variety of different things. A couple of things I want to highlight. This was kind of fun for me. The first one on the list. Dennis Fitzgerald, our longtime executive director here, the guy who made the mistake of hiring me, but he came over with Dick Long. Dick Long was our director of maintenance. His time here was 44 years, and Dick was a self-taught guy. Everything he learned either by reading about it or doing it. They wanted to see the electric buses and the infrastructure necessary. And Dick stays up on current events. And Lance went out with me and we talked with them. And Dick must have thrown 25 questions at Lance from all different angles. I was shocked at the depth of knowledge of a guy who's in his early 80s and hasn't worked in the industry for some time. But Lance answered every single one of them. I think he was right most of the time, but with patience and professionalism. And then Dick said, I remember hiring you 20 years ago or 20 plus years ago as a cleaner. I put that in there because, we have a lot of people like Lance, but in particular Lance, started out here cleaning buses and is now, running transportation and maintenance departments. It can happen. There is a career ladder at CDTA. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of perseverance, but it was just great to see. I don't know how to exactly put it. I want to say the old guy and the young guy. And Dick wouldn't be mad at me if I said that. But it was great to see them interact and to really share a passion for the industry. Another note, early in November, Innit held their user conference here. I think you all know what Innit is. Innit's the technology that we have that is the basis of our communication, our CAT ADL system, all the things that we're installing all new software and operating systems right now. Hats off though to Tom Luxberg and Chris Desney for convincing the guys and gals at Innit that you can host your user conference here and bring people in from all over the country, frankly all over North America and the world to Albany. So it's great to see them all here. They took a couple tours of our facilities and seemed to be impressed. NIPTA Fall Conference was a success down in Tarrytown. Got to see the new bridge, if you haven't been over it. A lot of our people were involved. Ali Schreffler gave a presentation. Dave Stackrow, he's kind of become the guy in New York State to provide the view of what's going on in Washington. He does that flawlessly now. He doesn't skip a beat. Last but not least, Ross Farrell, our own Ross Farrell, was recognized with the first, I think it's going to be annual, Joe Boardman Emerging Leader Award. And for those of you who don't know who Joe Boardman was, Joe was a national transportation expert. He was commissioner of DOT. He was the president of Amtrak. He is also one of the founding fathers of our association. He was a farmer at one point. He ran, after he ended his farming career, he ran the transit system in Utica. So he passed away unexpectedly a few years ago, and NIPTA decided what he would want is to recognize someone who was emerging in the industry, is a leader and was going to be a bigger leader. Ross was awarded that. It's great to see that. Congratulations to Ross. Just another interesting thing here. We have our general staff meetings about once every 6 or 7 weeks. Dave and Chris provided our entire staff with their trip report. What did they do on their summer vacation? But really the message to the staff was mobility as a service. So we wanted our whole staff to understand and hear about that, where the industry's going. Very well received, and I appreciate those two guys taking time to talk to our staff. But been a busy, it's as busy as I think I can recall here. We're going in a lot of different directions, and sometimes it does feel a little unorganized, but that's the reason why I think the strategic plan is perfectly timed. But on behalf of everybody who works here, happy holidays to all of you. We appreciate the work that the board does to set the vision, set the course, to keep us hungry, keep the objectives as far out as we possibly can. I think the staff reacts really well to that. Certainly the employees who work here appreciate that. So happy holidays from everybody.
Thank you, Carl. Hats off to everyone for a very successful year. It's been a busy year, but I think on balance, a very successful year.
Not over yet.
I know that. We have no executive session today. Does anyone have any final comments or anything besides season's greetings and having a great holiday? Yes, Mark.
I just got this new book, I haven't really read it yet, Better Buses, Better Cities by Stephen Higginside, who's the research director of the National Foundation Transit Center. It looks good. I saw somebody sent me a link to a video series he presented as a result of that. I ordered the book. But it starts with the question, what makes people choose the bus? Make the bus frequent, fast and reliable, walkable and dignified, fair and welcoming. Technology won't kill the bus unless we let it. It includes winning mindsets and growing movements. So, looks like a good resource.
Did you pass that link along?
I'll see if I can find it.
We've got some Googlers here, no
Sure,
further.
yeah, it's in the link to it was a live webinar. I think it was archived, but I'm not sure. I'll look in my email.
Appreciate it.
See if I can find, I think it was a 1 hour webinar.
Better buses, what?
Better Cities.
Better cities.
And the book is Better Buses, Better Cities, and the author is Stephen Higginside, Higashide, Higashide.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a great holidays.
Thank you.
Ross, congratulations.
I know, Ross.